Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today? You
Good, good,
hear me
good.
now, Justin?
Hey, Matt.
Yeah,
Great.
I can. Sorry.
Cool. Hey, Richard. How are you
Nope.
doing?
Good, good, good. And you?
Doing pretty good. Are you stateside?
Yep.
Cool. Usually I feel like you're coming back from Japan or Hawaii or something.
Yep. Up this side of the pond this time.
Nice. Very nice. We have quite a few registrants today, so I'm just going to give it just a couple minutes before we get going. But just to let you guys know, if you go to your own Canvas shell, you will have been invited into the BC RSI Reviewer Guide training. So if you want to head over there to your dashboard, and you should get a ribbon up at the top that says you've been invited into the name of that course, and then just click that green accept button. If you didn't get that, just let me know in the chat. Hi, Alex. Hi, Jeanette. I found out only moments ago that I was not going to be in the writing center, so rushed over to my office to get set up for Zoom. Hey, Samuel. Hey, Jana.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Jana?
Good morning.
Oh, it's been I'm okay. It's been rough. My car was broken into over the weekend.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks.
Yeah.
So, anything important taken?
All of my bowling equipment and my daughter's bowling equipment, which is about $2,500 worth of equipment.
Oh,
Well,
I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah. So,
Man, that's a bummer. Well, I hope,
yeah.
yeah, I hope the situation gets fixed.
Yeah, it's a rebuilding process now. Rebuild my arsenal. We've got
Yep.
a lot of tournaments coming up, so I've got to get ready for them.
Yep. Absolutely. I was thinking about you I think on Saturday because I was at Costco and I could have swore I saw you, but it turned out not to be you. It was like your doppelganger.
Yeah, Saturday, my daughter and I were at Long Beach for a tournament.
Definitely not you at Costco then.
No.
Hey, Devin. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started. We do only have an hour today, so we are going to cover as much of this. I mean, we'll get through all of it. Feel free to ask questions as we go. In addition, what I would encourage you to do is if you do have questions throughout this session, please feel free to just either unmute yourself and ask, or you can also just throw them in the chat. I do have that open to the side, and I am paying attention to that window, and we'll go about it that way. Additionally, what I would like you to do is you've all been invited into this course shell. It's called the BC RSI Reviewer Guide Training 2025-2026. So if you go to your Canvas dashboard, up at the top, let me do this real quick. Up at the top above dashboard, somewhere up here, you should have a ribbon that says you have been invited into BC RSI Reviewer Guide Training, blah, blah, blah. In that banner, you should have a little green button that says accept. Go ahead and click that, and that will pull you into that shell. And it will look like this once you get in there. If for some reason you do not have access, just post your email in the chat and I will add you to it. And if you do have access, let me know in the chat or give me a thumbs up on the screen, say you are good to go, and we will move forward. I'll give everybody a minute to get signed in. Thank you, Brandon. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Jeanette. It was an interesting break for us in my household. We were all sick a good chunk of it. I think we all got sick. I got sick like 3 separate times. So that was fun. And then, of course, to complicate matters, we decided to move the twins out of their cribs and put them into beds for the first time. So now we wake up randomly at 2 a.m. and they're just wandering around the room, which is fun. Thanks, Maria Jose. Excellent. All right, looks like we're pretty much good to go. Let's go ahead and we will get started here. Okay, so this is basically what I'm going to be going over today are the standards at which AIQ is working to develop so that when we go into an online course, we can review it, for our ASCCC accreditation process. So what we're going to go over today is sort of like all the criteria that have been spelled out thus far. Now, this is not to say that the criteria that I am presenting today will be the end-all say-all, but it is what we are going to start in AIQ with as a basis to review starting this semester in those online classes. So I do believe it will be a little bit of a working document as AIQ learns more about the process. But right now, the criteria are fairly strict. But I think that as we get into it, hopefully, as you see what the criteria are, it'll ease some of the fears that we all have about what's required of us in our online classes. And maybe in some other cases, it might mean we have to pick up steam a little bit. I know that I will have to do that in a couple areas myself. So with that, let me just go over this shell real quick. So right here is going to be where we'll actually spend a lot of time today. I put everything on a single page. At the end of this, or throughout this, I mentioned earlier, if you have questions as we go throughout today, you can post them in the chat. You can also just raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask. But I am also providing a feedback survey here, which is where we are collecting all of the questions faculty have about this process, about the criteria, so that we can take one massive pile back to AIQ and get those questions answered, because I promise you I will not have the answers for everything today. In addition, this page that we will be going over, not the page that we're currently on, but the one we will be covering today, you can actually access right here through RSI Canvas Commons. And what it is it's a single page that you can actually upload into any of your classes from the Canvas Commons. And it's meant as a reference guide for you. Just leave it unpublished. Your students won't see it. And then you can have it in each and every one of your classes as a reference guide to refer back to as you work to build your course, or change things or try to get better in your online conduction. Okay, if we move down, and this is essentially what we're going to do today. We are going to go over the standards. So we'll spend some time. I'll open up the standards and we'll talk about those. And then I want you to think about your own course for step 2. I want you to think about, exactly what you're doing in your class, if it's something you can improve on, if it's something you're doing fine. And then also, if you have a question about that, take note of it, and then please contribute that question to the feedback survey. A couple additional resources that I also would like to make you aware of that you have access to in this shell is the reviewer spreadsheet. So if you actually click on this, it's going to pull up the reviewer spreadsheet. So let me go ahead and I'll just show you the preview. But this is the spreadsheet that AIQ will be using as they go through the online courses, and it talks about each of the criteria, and then they will note whether it's false or true. And so we'll go a little bit more into the dynamics of that criteria here in a little bit. But I want you to be able to have access to the actual spreadsheet that they will be using. Notice that it also provides columns that provide notes for the reviewer, essentially where they will be going, little cues for them to go and see, like, okay, if we're looking to see, does the syllabus indicate a scheduled Zoom class session for criteria A? It's going to tell them where to look, and then it also says where's the evidence, where they can look for the evidence. So you have access to that information. The course that we will be in today also goes over that within Canvas. It's all the same information, just displayed a little differently. In addition to that, in order to create an announcement, Alex has also created a PlayLab announcement helper for us, so that what you can do is that you can actually use this PlayLab tool to help you create announcements for your class that should help you meet RSI standards. And we've also created a new BC online course template in the Canvas Commons. It's a template that you can import into an empty shell and then populate content. And it has measures in there to help you also meet RSI. So just to let you know, that's available as well. All right, and with that said, let's go ahead and hop over. So where I'm going to head now is I'm going to the BC RSI Reviewer Guide. So this is the page you can download from the Canvas Commons. You'll notice that it is it's just a single page, and all of the resources that I told you were available in the class are also at the very bottom of that resource in Canvas Commons, so you can grab those there. And then just to let you know, what this is saying is that in order to meet substantive interaction, let me grab my little annotation tool here real quick. Out of these 4 criteria, you need to meet at least any 2 of these criteria in order for the substantive interaction criteria to be met. Okay, so you can meet any two of these. Additionally, in addition to substantive interaction, we also have a regular interaction aspect of the RSI review. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to meet both of these in order to meet the regular interaction criteria. If you do not meet regular interaction or substantive interaction, you do not meet the standards. And let me dive a little bit more into that as well. If we come back up here, there's a couple of things that we need to consider with regard to substantive interaction. So criteria A, I'm not going to dive specifically into the criteria yet. Criteria A, though, talks about basically synchronous online classes. So those that meet in Zoom or have some sort of synchronous component, specifically online, not hybrid. So when we talk about this, if your course is mostly or entirely asynchronous, meaning you never meet in person, you never meet at the same time, you don't have 4 criteria, you only have 3, and you have to meet 2 of those 3, which will count for most of us. In addition to that, if we open up some of the only criteria C, really, criteria C has 4 sub-criteria. So the reason we have 4 sub-criteria, let me pull this up real quick. Sorry about that. The reason we have 4 sub-criteria is because according to the quality standards rubric provided to us, we're trying to accommodate everything that large criteria has. And we'll get into each of these. And so in order to meet criteria C, you must meet all 4 sub-criteria in order to meet C. If you miss one of these, you don't meet C criteria. All right. Any questions at this point? If not, we'll dive into the actual criteria and get into the details of it now. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Okay, so criteria A, as I stated, within each of these criteria, you're going to get considerations, basically the question that is going to be asked of AIQ to go look into your course. And then it's also going to tell them the evidence location where they should go to look for that in your class. And then I've also provided some important notes about it. So notice that here we're saying fully online asynchronous courses will not meet this standard, right? We already went over that a little bit. So the consideration is, does the syllabus indicate scheduled Zoom class sessions? So what AIQ reviewers are going to do is they're going to hop into the class and look at the syllabus, and then they're going to look to see if it states that there are synchronous Zoom sessions planned for this class. If there are, then this standard can be considered. If it is fully online asynchronous, then this will be a standard that is automatically not met. So it tells them that they can go into the course syllabus, whether that be a normal syllabus over here on the links, or whether that be a liquid syllabus or a linked document from the left side menu. So just to know, that's what standard A is all about. Any questions about standard A? Okay. And if at any point a question occurs to you after the fact, like I said, unmute yourself and ask, or just throw it in the chat. And also, if you do have questions, please take note of those to put back in the feedback survey. All right, let's go to criteria B. Okay, so criteria B, and this is where even to me it gets a little complicated. But the question is, does the consideration that AIQ is going to be asked is, does the instructor provide constructive feedback on 85% of assessments? Right, so what they are going to do is they are going to review your speed grader submission comments, any annotations you've put on a document, on written assignments, whether you've put free-form commentary within rubrics. So, when you create a rubric in Canvas, you can actually have a column where you can input comments on each of the rubric criteria. If you've provided audio or video feedback, and this is how they're going to do that. So let me hop over into a class real quick. And I see your question, Jeanette. I will answer that in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to grades. And I'm going to go to a student real quick. So what they're going to do is they're going to hop over to grades and they're going to click on a student. When they click on the student name, it's going to pull up this button over here on the right-hand side, and they can actually go to the grades. Now, you'll notice that of the assessments that have been provided, they can actually look here and see what sort of feedback has been given to that student, whether it's commentary, and they can actually click on that and see the commentary that's being provided. If there is a rubric added, there will also be another icon here for rubric. So they can actually click on this and see the type of content, and they can also get a quick glance over the entire student assessments, all of the assessments, and see if it's pretty much present on 85% of them. So Jeanette's question in the chat is, does this apply to graded quizzes? So if you are giving, it's kind of it depends. So if you're just giving a simple correct answer, type thing, or a false answer, incorrect answer, if they click on that and they just give a correct answer and just lets them know that, yes, they got it right, it will not be met. If, however, and this is, if however, like when you're creating a quiz, and then like for each question, you can give feedback into those question responses. So if they click it, it will tell them, sorry, this is incorrect. Think about blah, blah, blah. If you get more detailed, more specific, if you go beyond just incorrect, correct, and get more detailed in those automatically or those pre-generated feedback that you give, then yes, that should count. But you have to do
So,
that pre-work beforehand.
so would it be better just to make, because I have weekly, I was talking to another faculty about this, which
Mhm.
is how I know to ask this question.
Yeah.
Um, One of the main like low stakes assessments throughout all of my courses is to have like chapter quizzes where they're like low stakes, 5 or 10 points. They just take them like multiple times to get practice.
Okay.
And the faculty member was telling me like, oh my God, they're expecting feedback on all these little tiny quizzes throughout the semester. So the suggestion was to turn them into practice quizzes where they're ungraded to avoid the tediousness of having to go through and like, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that'd be a
it's
lot of work,
like
right?
it's intense. I mean, the idea that the thought, so is that the like but the path of least resistance is to go in and remove those
I
assessments.
guess, yeah, I guess I would say that that's one workaround for sure. Like if they're not listed as an assessment, then I don't think they would be considered among that 85%.
So how many, so then what I'm worried about, like for one of my courses, those practice quizzes are like like aside from the paper,
Yeah.
those are like the main other type of assessments, except for I have five discussions, weekly quizzes, and a paper. And the five discussions won't be enough to hit half of 16 weeks. So would it be better to just add in 3 more graded discussions and change all the quizzes to practice? Or like,
Let me see real quick if I could look at this a different way. So I will say this. So um let's see, how do I want to approach this? Course level communications, studio course tool. I'm just going to speed grader real quick. So, when you're looking at a quiz, in addition to, like over here in like SpeedGrader, like the quiz pops up over here, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, what you can also do is when you are actually grading an assessment, notice that there's something called your comment library.
Yeah.
And so what you can do is, what I would recommend in that case is maybe build up a comment library. And then another workaround that you could do is if you have a comment library where each of those comments, which I'll go over in a little bit, sort of
Mhm.
meet the RSI standard, then as you go through the quizzes, you can actually just apply that comment to each different comments to each of the students to show that you are in fact commenting on it. And then you don't have to do that for each and every question.
So, but like for example, if I'm teaching like biopsych, I teach dual enrollment this semester. They're all through McFarland. If I have 40 students
Hmm.
in that class and they're all taking like the chapter one quiz, and those quizzes are from test banks that are automatically graded by Canvas.
Yep.
Um, we would need to go into 85% of those quizzes And it's my understanding, because I'm like, this isn't the only school where I have RSI, so I've been hearing RSI like for over 2 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Starting with like Mount Sac and the whole, the whole chaos that started it all. Um,
Because they got dinged too, right?
they were the first, yeah. They were the first one, and then came like I know OCC's going through it now, and like other and us, but it has to be more than just like good job, right? Because what I see in the majority of my quizzes, most people score 10 out of 10, right? They're not missing questions. They're for whatever reason. So I know for it to be substantive feedback, it can't just be good job. So do you have like recommendations to post in the speed grader? Is it like, good job? I can see that you understand this well. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, is that something that would meet it? Because,
Yeah, so what I typically recommend for this, and this method actually came about as a result of COVID and people trying to do online, but it's called the 3CQ method. And
mhm,
basically what it stands for is the three C's are compliment, comment, connect, and then the Q is question. So the idea would be is when you're providing that response, and so let me just I'm skipping over Gilbert and Justin's questions here real quick and going to Jana's. But so what you could do is in your comment library, you could build up multiple responses, right? And so what you want to do is, give a compliment to the student, make a comment about, their responses, something that connects to like, some sort of essentially like a criticism or something to improve on, connect to it, whether you're connecting it by helping synthesize other concepts or whether you're connecting to it by introducing some like humanizing yourself and making sure that they're aware that you've struggled with something like this too. But then you can also then throw another thought-provoking question out. Whether or not they get back to you is that doesn't matter. But as long
yeah,
as you're putting that out there, and then you can create several different comments in your repository that meet that standard. And then so like Jan is saying in the chat, as long as you sort of, diversify which responses, you don't want the same students to get every student to get the exact same response, but switch it up. That should help. So I typically encourage the 3CQ method.
okay.
And then Gilbert, your question is, are rubrics preferred to comments? No, I don't think either of those have, it's just what's better for you. I personally like rubrics because mine are typically long essay papers, and that helps me break down and help the students see what's required of them and what the expectation is a little bit. So I like doing that. And plus it helps me as I'm grading it to give those comments in the rubric. But if you're more of a comment person, by all means do that. And you can do that audio, video, or just, type it in. They'll be able to see it the same. And Justin, as far as I know, they have not made that comment library categorizable yet. Okay. So that is criteria B. And I know that there's a lot of discussion about the 85%. That's something that AIQ is, we've received a lot of questions on. And Jeanette, if you have more questions, and I feel like I didn't answer yours, so please put that in the feedback survey, and I'd be happy to take that to AIQ because I know that we
Okay.
have a lot of questions. I think the majority of questions we have is about the 85%.
I don't I don't really I mean, for me, just for me personally, I don't have the 85% I don't have an issue with, and I have been adhering to that because I've been teaching at Mount SAC. So this is something I've been trying to like just do
Yeah.
from dealing with them. But when I heard about the quiz thing, that like really threw me for a loop. I was like, what do you mean? Because to be perfectly transparent, with these question banks, unfortunately, the students just oftentimes go to the internet and like look them up. So they're getting high marks. So I guess I kind of answer my own question in that maybe they just need to become non-graded because they're not really assessing what they're meant to assess anyway when they can be, you know, looked
Right.
up. So maybe
And
I
for me,
just need to.
there's going to be a lot of like sort of negotiation happening with the process too, because I think there's a couple of things. One, I think the standard is trying to prevent purely online publisher content from being the only thing, right? They don't
Yeah,
want it to just be this thing that students just, they go in and do that. So, or they don't
yeah,
want faculty to just be using that and not actually teaching, right? That's the
abs
sort of stance on it.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing is I think the reason we're partially in this situation now is that when we were going through that process, right, it's because we as an institution didn't have a basis in which to have the committee that was reviewing us refer back to. So I think the fact that we actually have something now that we're trying and that's in place so that when they come back to us in 18 months and they're looking at it, and now we say, this is what we've been telling faculty and this is where we're at. I think it's a good thing that we even have a status now, a baseline in which for them to refer back to rather than, oh, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Justin, question?
Yeah, I mean, my question is a lot of times when I'm doing feedback on, for instance, as Jeanette was saying, the quiz is I'll do it in my announcement or some sort of thing, and then I will talk about how different students did, but that's not going to count, right?
Correct. That would not count. Not towards this part anyway.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you talk about the publisher only situation, so for example, I use my lab IT,
Okay.
but I do go out of my way and create videos, which would essentially be the same as if someone showed up to a face-to-face class. So for
Right.
example, if I'm going over something dealing with Microsoft Word, I create a video that's basically a lesson that they can watch. Again, I can't force these people to watch it, but I do go out of my way and create that video.
Right.
Is that considered part of the 85%?
That would not be considered. So when it comes to the 85%, it's specifically referring to your feedback to them on the assessments that they are being, graded on. So while your videos do count for another aspect of the RSI standards, they do not count for the graded part, unless you're basically creating a video for each student on each assessment. Yeah. So yeah, it will count. Well, matter of fact, that might be a good segue into criteria C because it talks about that. But in terms of you actually like that, yeah, that won't count towards the feedback. Just like Justin's feedback on the grades in an announcement wouldn't count, at least not for the 85%.
Yeah, this is interesting because in the world of AI and rampant cheating, I mean, I have the same exact problem with the quizzes. I have students that in hybrid classes that will ace everything, but then they have to show up and take the test face to face.
Right.
And they get a D. So,
right.
I mean, so I don't know. This feedback thing is pretty difficult.
Yeah, and it seems to me like it's also more about what the faculty is doing rather than what the student is, and for me, one of the challenges is that I used to bleed all over the papers that my students would submit, right? I'd give them so much, in my opinion, quality feedback about where they could have considered adding a source and where they went, where they could have corrected something and all of that, only to find that they weren't actually reading any of the comments. They just went and looked at the grade and that was the extent of it. And the ones that really needed to look at it specifically were the ones not reading the comment feedback, right? The ones that were excelling and doing really well read the feedback, of course. And so for me, it's this is one of the things that's challenging me to have to go back in there and really reinvest in giving some feedback to it, because even though I know my students are not going to be reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
well, thank you.
Yeah. Yep. I wish it was simpler, but yeah. And and these standards are pretty, that's what it is. Let me pull this up real quick so that we have this. Wrong link. So this is the rubric in which we were evaluated on. And I'll go ahead and throw the link in the chat so that you guys have access to this also. Okay, so that's the link to the PDF that I've currently pulled up. This is directly from the AC, I always get the name, ACCJC. This is the quality continuum rubric. This is the rubric that they used to come and evaluate us during our accreditation process. And you'll notice that this breaks down like for assessment B, there's specifically feedback on student coursework. Um, and these are the different levels in which they were looking for it. And these were the things that we did not meet in the 50 courses that they provide or that we examined. So you'll notice that now that we move on to criteria C, the goal is to provide information or responding to questions about the content of a course or competency. So if we hop back over here to criteria C, this is the one that has the 4 sub-criteria. And you'll notice that when you come to criteria C, the first criteria is, are there 2 announcements sent each week that go beyond reminders? Right. So then for that, you can also use the 3CQ method in sending out announcements, right? You want to make sure that you're doing things like sharing trends and assignments. You can highlight key concepts or synthesize concepts. And then, of course, you can also include the reminder, but the announcements need to go beyond just like, hey, reminder, there's a test on Thursday, or hey, remember, we're doing this on Thursday. It needs to go above that. You can have one announcement that does that, and then another announcement that goes above and beyond. And so one thing that I've started doing is I start to just basically, set my announcements to go out at a specific date and time. So I write them on like the weekend or whatever when I'm in there doing grading. And then I have them one go out on Monday and then one go out on Wednesday before their Tuesday, Thursday class. Yes, Samuel.
Hey there.
Hey.
I just wanted to, there was 2 questions asked in chat, and I want the answers to those if possible. Alex and Jana, sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name, asked, but it had to do with the feedback on quiz answers.
Yes.
Whether or not that's going to be enough to fulfill the 85% requirement. Say you had just quizzes, just for the sake of this, right? If you had the kind of feedback for incorrect answers, does that cover us? And
so yeah,
how,
you have question 1,
Mhm.
and then just to make sure that I understand. So you have question 1, and then you have, let's say it's multiple choice A, B, and C. And let's say B is the correct choice. So if they select A, you have a built-in automatic response that is fairly robust, probably meets the 3CQ method. And then if they select option B, the correct one, you also have an automatic response that is more robust, not just like, good job, you got it right. It's got like the preset response has to go above and beyond just like, you got it right. And then if they select C, they get maybe the same feedback as like what they would have gotten for question A, or D, same question as, C and A. So that should meet it. Just like if you have a preset comment library in your speed grader with robust feedback, that should also meet it.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes it sounds as if the easiest way to deal with that, if one wanted to keep quizzes that were graded, would be to make everything true false. So you only have to write 2 comments total, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's I'm not gonna say one way, but I mean, yeah, I will say I enjoy all the ways in which everybody's thinking about how to make this simpler. Like, I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to make sure. So that should do it.
That should, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I mean, if you're just putting in like, good job, then no, that won't. And you said that there was another question. You said 2 questions, right?
Oh no, those 2 questions were related, I'm pretty sure, unless the original 2 askers would say otherwise.
Yep.
Thank
And
you.
then also Jeanette posted in the chat, if we just comment in SpeedGrader, it's okay. So if you have a quiz and then you go and provide a comment in SpeedGrader, that also meets. Yes. Matter of fact, that's going to be one of the main ones that they'll be looking at.
So just one comment in SpeedGrader for a whole quiz, but pretty much every quiz that's graded
has to
needs
have
to
that
be.
comment.
Yeah,
Yep.
and 3CQ is a way to do that.
Right. So then if you have like that one quiz, or you go in, but then you build up your comment library, even though you may have 40 quizzes that you're grading, if you build up a robust comment library with robust responses, and then you sort of vary which responses you're adding to each student as you go through those 40, right? And that's basically, after you add them, you're just clicking it in and it puts it in the comment library for you, or it puts it in the comment to the student. That would be an easy way too. It's just a lot of prep work up front to get those built.
Yeah. How deep does Big Brother go when looking at our quiz stuff when they're evaluating us? Are they going to look at the quiz contents?
So they're going to essentially come to your student. Like, they're going to select what my understanding is they're going to select a handful of students, like maybe 3 or 5. And then they're going to look for the 85% of assessments. And so when they come to it, the extent to which they have, because the roles that the reviewers are going to have is no different than like any of us as teachers have, right? They're not going to have like my admin Canvas abilities. Matter of fact, the accreditation team didn't have that. What they do is they come here to like the name of the student, click on it, click on the grades for the student,
Yeah.
and then they'll look at all that and then see that there because they won't have the robust back end stuff, which is also why one aspect of why the publisher content doesn't work is because it's third party. So they don't have access to that level of detail. And they also don't have access to the Canvas inbox. So they can't see the emails that are having, but there's a workaround that they will be using to.
Okay, I'm nodding my head over here. So then they're not going to be able to look at the quiz to be like, how meaningful is this comment and connect and question? Is it really in the context of the quiz?
Well, they could because they'll be
They
like a
could.
teacher like you in your class. So if they need to go that deep, then they can.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Alex.
Yeah, just a question. So when it says 85% of assessment, that refers to the number of assignments rather than, say, the weight of the grades. Like, because it seems to me that one of the easiest ways to meet this requirement would to be for a lot of quizzes that are multiple choice with individualized question level feedback and
Yep.
just ensure that it's 85%.
Yep. I'd say that.
Because it doesn't matter what like necessarily the weight of those assignments are to the overall grade calculation.
Correct. Yeah, it's more are you responding, are you commenting as the faculty back to 85% of the assessments you have your students doing?
Right. And
Yeah.
see, I'm just trying to think of like what's the way that I can always ensure that my class meets this
Yep.
Condition.
Yeah. Okay, let me catch up in the chat here. Jeanette, no, the AIQ has not specified that yet. They have it. So the question is there a certain number of assessments? No, and I think that's one of the challenges is because everybody is so diverse in what they offer. You know, some classes only have like 3 big papers or 3 big projects, right? So how do you handle that? And then you also have people that have quizzes and discussions and assignments each and every week throughout 16 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like if I only have 6 graded assessments all semester, are they going to have an issue? I think
Yeah.
that is going to be part of what AIQ has to explore.
So should like that's what I'm like because the semester's starting so soon and I'm like freaking out having to like I have like here I am like, oh, the courses are prepped and like, oh no, they're not. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So my question regarding the 6 graded assessments is basically I have 5 graded discussions that are quite robust and 1 paper, like 1 final paper. If I just leave it as is and just have those 6 assessments where I can demonstrate 85% of feedback, et cetera, is that going to be cool with like Bakersfield or are they going to expect more?
That's a good question. And unfortunately, I think that's one of those questions I cannot give a definitive answer for just because I know that AIQ is trying to figure out how, like, there's going to be so many diverse level of assessments in each course or in everything that's being reviewed, right? So,
Yeah,
so I really don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry about that.
it's okay. I just don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead. We have about 25 minutes left and we still have criteria to cover. And I know that the 85% is a big question. I anticipate that being, you know, the big question, what's all entailed in that. But let's get through some of the other criteria. I'll address a couple of comments on each one, but please take note of the questions that you have and give them to that feedback survey because these are all really good. I know that I haven't been able to answer all of them, but hopefully over the course of this, we can get those answers for you. Okay. Let me hop back here. With regard to criteria C, now remember criteria C is specifically about providing information or responding to questions about the content of a course or competency. So the question that for criteria C1 that the review team is going to get asked is, are there 2 announcements sent each week that go beyond reminders, right? So make sure that you're providing, they're just going to go into your announcements and see how many announcements you're sending, and then they'll dive into those and see what the quality of the content is in those announcements. And you can also have those pre-scheduled announcements. Like I said, those are acceptable, but you need to make sure the content meets the criteria. And Alex, is your hand still up or it just not put down yet?
I'm so sorry I left it up.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Okay. For subcriteria C2, the question that they're going to ask is the instructor present in each module? So what does that exactly mean, present in each module? So I believe it was Creighton Also good to hear your voice, Creighton. I don't think I've heard it in a bit. But this is where that would come in. So for C2, are you providing video, audio, or recorded presentations, right, in your modules? Do you have interactive lessons? Like, are the lessons that are being provided created by you? Are they somehow moderated by you? Are you the one that's creating those things and putting them there? So Creighton, that's where those video lectures and things that you were talking about, that's where they go. And where they're going to look is they're going to look at the pages within your modules. If the modules are not linked from the home page, they're going to navigate to the modules from this tab and go there and look. And then, of course, it needs to be demonstrated on at least one page or content type in the module. So maybe let's assume for a second in module for week 2, you have an introduction page, but you don't have a video on that page. But then when you get to the assessment or the assignment, you have a video on top of the assignment. Well, then that still meets it, right? So as long as you're present in that somewhere, that's good. And basically, they're going to be looking for, can you tell that the instructor has curated the content? So it's not publisher created, it's created by the instructor of the course. So notice that they also say linking to videos or outside content websites without connecting them to the content is not sufficient. So if you do have videos and things that are linking to other like TED Talks or whatever are outside, right, you need to make sure that you have something on that page, something below the video, above the video, something that helps synthesize or connect it to the content, which is something I'm going to have to work on as well. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at sub-criteria C3. Okay, so does the instructor encourage questions and student participating in learning? So right out the gate, it doesn't matter if the students respond to you, but are you encouraging them to ask questions? Are they encouraged to participate in learning activities? So in your announcements, in addition to a reminder, do you encourage them to attend your office hours, right? Whether or not they do, the team's not going to look at that. Are you just encouraging them to do that? Do you hold special study sessions as a couple of examples? So what they're going to do for that is they're actually going to hop into your announcements and they're going to look at the weekly announcements and look to see what the content says. Can you review discussion board? They're going to also review discussion boards for instructor participation, but we'll get into discussions in criteria D. And are you encouraging them to participate in those discussions like on your initial post? Or do you go into the discussion and then also encourage further comment to the discussions? Let's see. And then unless otherwise specified in the orientation module or welcome module in week 1, such as a Q&A board where the instructor is active. So you can also have an ongoing discussion that lasts semester long that is also a Q&A thing so that they could actually just hop into that discussion and see, are you responding to students in that discussion Q&A? And then the other thing that they will be doing to see how you're interacting with the students, because as I stated, one thing that they don't have access to is your Canvas inbox, right? They will not be able to go in there and see the quality of your email discussions with your students. So to let you know, when accreditation was happening and they were looking at us, they did not have access to that. They actually had to email Dan Hall when they had a question about that. And then Dan Hall had to go and send screenshots of the email communication to provide the accreditation team. And then when BC had me do an independent review from the ACCJC to see if I could get a different result than they had, as an admin, I do have the ability to go see content, but that the team will not have that ability. They will just go and they will do this. They're going to hop into your class. They're going to use, where is it? Course analytics. And all of you can look at this in your own class too. You have that ability. If you go to course analytics and click on it, once it pulls up, because things are always so speedy when you're doing a workshop, right? That's always when the tech and connection is always so slow. What they're going to do is they'll click on course analytics. Then they're going to come to the students tab and they will click on a student. And then what they are going to see is they're going to see over here, there's a communication tab. And if they click on the communication tab for that specific student, they're going to see that on 11/17, there was interaction between me and the student. And really what they're looking for is the communication between you and the student happening? And you represent purple, that is the instructor, the blue is the student. Are there any blues without purple, right? So you want to make sure that you're aligning those purple to the blues. Make sure that you're responding to those students. And while they cannot see the content of this communication, which also comes from the Canvas inbox, they can see that the student communicated to me and I communicated to the student. Whether it was I started it or they started it, we don't know. But they can also mouse over it and see that 3 messages were sent on behalf from the student and 2 messages by me. But the important thing is that we were corresponding. So again, they'll go to course analytics. And once the data loads, they'll go to students. They'll click on a specific student. They'll go to communication. And then that is where they'll get that chart. That's a good question. So Jeanette in the chat is asking, does that mean if we use message students who, and so, in case somebody doesn't know, if you're in the grade book and you go to, I'll just show you. And you go to the 3 dots, you can actually click on those students and click message students who, in which case this pops up. And so you can message students who haven't submitted, have not been graded, scored more than. And from what I hear is that this communication, Jeanette, does not register in that course analytics communication. I could be wrong. But in the past couple workshops, we had people looking at it, trying to test that, and it was not registering when they did it. Now, whether or not the server needs updating, and during the workshop, we just couldn't tell. I don't know, but it's something that when we have our AIQ meeting, that was brought up at the end of last semester. When we have the AIQ meeting this semester, I plan to bring that up, and we're going to look into that.
But other Canvas inbox messages register there?
The Canvas inbox, yeah.
That's so weird because these composed messages are sent through Canvas inbox. So anyway.
Yeah, and so all I'm saying is like maybe like let's say you went in right now and you did a message students who, and we went to course analytics. Maybe it doesn't show up because maybe like the server needs to refresh at a specific day or a specific time in the day that when we're in the workshop it just didn't. So I don't know. Yeah. But if you test it out and find an answer, please let me know. I would be happy. I would be thrilled to know that.
Yeah, I would be thrilled to know that too, because that's a huge way to show analytics.
Right, because even the message students who, right, connects to the inbox. Like you can go in there and look at it.
Yeah. So anyway, weird.
Yeah. Okay, so that's criteria C3. And remember, you must meet all 4 of these. And criteria C4 is, does the instructor respond to student questions within 48 hours? So obviously they are not going to have access to the email to see the date that you responded, but notice that in that report, it does show that, I responded the same date that the student sent me that email. So they will also see like if you respond a couple days later. So they will use that same thing through course analytics to look at the same. They will also look at SpeedGrader comment submissions. Are you responding there? If you have that ongoing discussion, are you responding in there? Yeah, and the designated is 48 hours based on the BC created standard.
Matt, this is Jenny. I had a question.
Hey,
How
Jenny.
sophisticated is that? Does that account for like weekends and holidays, or is it just 48 hours?
So I think the idea in talking with the union aspect of it is that if you are in your communication plan, in your introduction module or in your syllabus, as long as you're specifying that when you what can you expect from me, students? You can expect that if you send me an email, I will respond within 48 hours, but I do not include weekends in that. So you could say 48 hours considering working days or something like that, So as long as you're clarifying that and they can refer and see that, oh, this is the standard they're meeting, that's fine. Because according to the union, those weekends aren't work days. So. Okay, let's move on to Let's move on to criteria D. Same with holidays in that case, like, spring break or whatever. Okay, so criteria D, this one's my favorite one because this is all about discussions. Does the instructor actively participate in a regular discussion? Right, so what they're going to do is they're going to go to your discussions and they're going to basically, when you come to a discussion, let's see, I don't think I have any in this one. When you come to a discussion, up at the very top, I don't have any discussions created, but even at the top of specific discussions, they can search for your name in a discussion. So like, let's say I'm in Justin's class and I want to see if he's actively participating in the discussion. I can actually hop in here and type in Justin's name, and then it's going to filter his responses in that specific discussion. So, discussion for week 1, I'd hop there, go to the search his name. And then what it's saying is you need to have discussions that occur throughout 50% of the course. So if it's a 16-week class, you need to have 8 discussions. If it's an 8-week class, you need to have 4 discussions. And are you providing 2+ comments in the main discussion? So, are you providing that initial post, and then are you commenting within? Correct. So this actually has to be so Jeanette is asking, so this has to be on the front end of the discussion, not responding to like in the speed grader. Correct. You have to be present in the discussion itself. The speed grader comments go back to that criteria B. So yeah, you have to have presence within the discussion. And that's how they're going to look at it, is they're going to search for your name within each of those discussions. So then that brings me back to Jeanette, I guess, with your earlier comment about will it meet the criteria. So here that we're saying that you need to have discussions on 50% of the course. So you need to have however many weeks, half of those have to have some discussions in them essentially.
So 8 then, right?
Yep.
If we have
Yeah,
16-week course.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, we have 10 minutes left. Let's hop down to regular interactions. So just a quick reminder. So for these, you need to meet 2 of A, B, C, and D. You need to meet at least 2 of these 4 up here. And of course, if your class is not synchronous, then criteria A can't be met. So you have to meet B, C, and D, 2 of those. For regular interaction, you need to meet both of these. So let's go ahead and open up criteria A. And if we hop back over here to the rubric, and we hop down to regular interaction, it's all about providing the opportunity for substantive interactions with students on a predictable and regular basis, right? So if we hop back over here, criteria A is, does the instructor provide weekly opportunities for interaction? Where they're going to look is they're going to look in your announcements and in your discussion boards. They can also look in the syllabus. And what you should be doing is, also, let me mention this. When you send out an announcement, you can actually allow threaded replies to that announcement. So what you can do is you can actually have just enable replies to the announcement, and that will count towards this. Students don't actually have to reply to it. You just have to provide the opportunity when you send out an announcement for students to respond to the announcement. Do you have announcements scheduled weekly? If not, are there enough between announcements and discussion boards to count as weekly opportunities for interaction? So looks like mostly they're going to be looking at announcements and discussions and you providing opportunity for students to give feedback. They will also consider office hours and those reminders about office hours for this criteria. So I always like to think of it as regular interaction as sort of like the foundation. These are the things that should be, present in your online class. And then the substantive interaction is getting a little more granular, a little more detailed about what's happening within that. But these are like, the baseline here. Regular interaction, criteria B. Is there evidence that the instructor is monitoring student performance? And so really that question is asked in order to sort of get at the heart of monitoring the student's academic engagement and success and ensuring that an instructor is responsible for promptly and proactively engaging in substantive interaction. This is the one word that I think it's going to focus a lot on, is also the aspect of proactively. So not always, in response to. So in order to do that, they're going to review the first module, the syllabus, and announcements for instructors on how and instructions on how you plan to monitor the student performance. Are you doing starfish progress reports? Is there an inactivity policy in your syllabus that if they're inactive, they're going to get dropped, or you're going to reach out to them if you haven't seen them participating in a certain amount of time? Are there other reminders on how you monitor performance? Such as on missed or late assignments, right? Do you have a policy with missed assignments, late assignments? Do they get deducted points, that sort of thing? And then, of course, they're going to review SpeedGrader submission comments for comments on how the student should improve. So you can see here the important note is, does the instructor outline in the orientation or welcome module or on their syllabus how they will be monitoring student performance? And then, of course, they also mentioned criteria B again, which is constructive feedback on 85%. And that is RSI and what the AIQ team will be looking at when they go in to review the online courses.
Does the committee does the reviewer have access to whether or not the Starfish progress reports are being used?
Yes, and so did the accreditation team. They had access to Starfish as well.
Okay.
Yep. Good question, Creighton. So how do you guys feel? Did this help clarify some of what's expected? I know in some cases we're like, wow, we have some work to do, but at least now we sort of know what's expected. Did that help at all?
Yes.
Marie Jose, thanks, Creighton. Yes, you always have access to this. Additionally, if you hop back to the home page, let me show you this real quick. And you go to RSA Canvas Commons. Let me open that in a new tab. All right, let me try this a different way. I'll just show you this way. If you go to Canvas Commons, you can search Bakersfield College or you can search my name. Notice that the first thing that pops up is this RSI. This right here is the exact same page that's here that I took you through today. And so what you can do once it's in the Canvas Commons, right? So this is the page that everything we just went over today with the additional resources. If you go to the Commons and click on this, you can actually come over here to the import download and click on that button. And then you can select any one or all of your classes and click on those. And it'll actually import that page into your classes. So then you have it in your classes. If you don't want it in your classes, you can also just import it into like one of your like sandbox shells or something so that at least you have it. And then in case something does happen to my shell at some point, which I have no plan of getting rid of, but you always have, then you have it yourself too. And then of course, if AIQ makes changes and does all that, then I'll come back into this page. I'll update it based on the changes, not for this semester, but at some future point when those changes and updates are made, I'll change it. And then I can actually, update that page in the Commons, and then you'll get a notification that you need to update it yourself. Yeah, Justin.
Is there a shell available that has like I feel like we should have like an example shell that anybody can go into and see all of this at work as a sample. Like, okay, here's this shell, and then this particular shell meets every single guideline, and like there's a quiz in there, and it shows how the comment should look. There, obviously it's going to be different for everyone, but I don't know if that exists, but
So I
think
think the
that's
closest thing that we have is if you come back to your additional resources, there's the BC online course template. And there's aspects of the RSA standards that a shell or a structure can be provided to help you get close to it, but a lot of it is also dependent on what the faculty is doing throughout the length of the course. So this BC online course template does have at least a structure set up so that you can meet, like it'll have like an introduction module that includes like communication protocols and things that for you to input. So if you download that is a template that you could pull into an empty shell and then start building out. So that we do have that, but that's as close as we have right now. But I like the idea of building out more of like a model shell. And maybe that's something that Alex and I can work on over the course of, the first few weeks in the semester. Well, really after week 3, the first 2 weeks are always crazy, but maybe we can work on this semester to build for everybody. So yeah, exactly. Like a visual reference. Yep. I'm with you. I like that idea. And thanks for the note on the typo. I will get that changed. And don't forget, you also have the announcement helper to help you generate announcements. That looks like this. It's going to give you basically a walkthrough. So if you want the announcement helper, you click start. You can type your message, and then it's going to walk you through generating a more improved announcement. Yeah, Jenna.
So just to go back real quick to the video lectures and that component. I don't have my lectures as pages. I have them as assignments with interactivity, so they're the graded like quiz lectures.
Okay.
So is that still going to be included in that 85% of assessment? Because they do get graded, but does
So
that also meet the other requirement of my video lectures?
yeah, so ask me or explain to me how you use it a little bit, because really the 85% is going to be about how you're giving feedback to each or 85% in those assessments.
So just to make sure that our students are actually like watching the video lectures, I made them interactive. So they're in Canvas Studio as a quiz, basically,
Okay.
or as an assignment. So I have an assignment set, and then I add in through the external tool the Canvas Studio embedding of the lecture.
Okay.
But it's on my module as an assignment, but
Got
it's
it.
all of
So
my video lectures.
got it. So I think what I'm so, and then when a student responds to it, they pretty much just get whatever like, because in Canvas Studio, right, the quiz overlay just allows them to click like multiple choice or true or false or whatever when they're in it, right?
Correct.
So then when you've seen a student participate in it, do you go give submission comments to that assignment to them in SpeedGrader or something?
Not very often. I will go and look and make sure that they've watched the percentage, and if they don't, then I readjust their grade for the percentage that they watched.
Got it.
And then I
Okay.
put a comment there like, hey, your score was reduced because our analytics only show you watched, because they'll fast forward to the questions and then submit.
Right. So my what I suppose is that it probably would not meet it, because I don't think the feedback we can give students in Canvas Studio with the quiz overlay is robust enough to meet that quality feedback. But if you were to go in there and actually give submission comments after they've taken the quiz and you give them like feedback in SpeedGrader on those assignments, then that would meet it. But the videos alone, I don't think would meet it based on what I'm thinking it is. But the video will count towards that other criteria and criteria C, like it did for Creighton, where you have the videos, present for C2.
Okay.
Yep. So that would meet it.
Okay. And then I had another like Canvas question real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. Let me 1 second. So everybody, it is 9:15. I do want to be respectful of your time. Thank you for being here today. I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm always ready to help. And if you have to hop off, please hop off. If you want to stay on and have questions about this or something else, feel free. I'll hang out for a bit. Jenna, yours is about Canvas specifically?
Yeah, it was about Canvas mastery paths and whether or not practice quizzes would still be a launching point for mastery paths.
Ooh, practice quizzes. Do you give a grade in those?
Well, we grade them all right now, but that would also be included in that 85%. And
Yeah.
so if I change them to practice quizzes, um, and it would still, I don't know.
As
I
long
was
as
just
is
curious if it would still count as a jumping off point.
Yeah, I we'll have to play with that. I don't know, because as long as you can give them a score, it should, because that's really all it's looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll play with it and let you know for sure, but I just didn't know off the top of your head if you knew if that would work or not.
I've never done it with a practice quiz, but if you find that it does, let me know, because I've never played with a practice quiz in that situation.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Great
thanks,
job.
Jenna. Good to see you.
You too.
Samuel, question.
Yeah, related to the practice quiz thing that was just being talked about. This is kind of a dirty little workaround, but like within a module, you can have different barriers, assignments that have to be completed in order to advance through the module.
Right.
And a practice quiz can work for that. And a practice quiz wouldn't be graded, and therefore wouldn't show up where reviewers could see comments and all. So
Mm.
could one feasibly just change all of their quizzes to practice quizzes that just block off other parts of a module if somebody doesn't get a minimum score?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say that yes, that sounds possible. Like, I know in Jana's case, she's talking about using the mastery pass where it automatically channels them, but I think for the purposes of RSI, that might be one way to do it. I don't know. Let's if you want to try it and let me know. And then what we could do is, if you would you mind putting that question, or you can, if you don't want to submit it through the course, you can also email it to me and I'll ask.
Okay.
Because I would be curious to know what their thoughts are on that.
Yeah, because I've started doing instructional quizzes before assignments
Yeah.
just to like force students to read the assignment instructions.
Yeah.
And it works that way. So, I'll ask that question. We'll see what's going on.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
All right,
cool.
thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Hey, Matt, this is Jenny. I had a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So in
All right, one
every
second, Jenny.
module,
Let
I
me.
have like a welcome to that module
Yeah,
video
sorry,
of
Jenny. Hold on
myself.
one.
Does that count
Yeah,
as
sorry, Jenny.
being present?
Yeah, Jenny. Sorry. Hold on one second. Creighton had his hand raised, so let me get to him, and then I'll come to you. All right, Creighton,
Yes.
go for it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, so in a face-to-face class,
Mm-hmm.
after the students complete whatever the assessment is, you can discuss with them the outcome of that discussion or the assessment,
Okay.
the
Mm-hmm.
average score or whatever.
Yeah.
So would this count for 85% if I just look at the quiz scores, then I create a Zoom video and I discuss with the class the outcome of that quiz and various details of the questions and et cetera. And then I post that video for them to watch. Does that count?
I don't think it would because the process that AIQ is going to take to look at the responses is they're going to choose like, three or four, or I'm sorry, three or five students, and then they're going to go look at, 85% of those assessments for each of those students. So 85 for student A, 85 for student B. They're going to look at their assessments and see if that's where you're providing the feedback is on their assessments, not as like a global blanket thing to all students.
But that would be more like a class.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just telling you what the AIQ is going to do to verify that 85%.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, Jenny.
Yes, my question is in every module, I have like a little welcome video of myself. Does that
Uh-huh.
count as presence, or do I have to add an additional video of myself somewhere in the module?
So so you do this in each module?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, do you do that in each module?
Yes.
And what's the content of the video?
It just goes over what they're going to be doing that week.
Yeah, that should help you meet criteria C2. Matter of fact, it's the one I pulled up on the screen. It should help you meet this part. And Jamie Shuck, yes, I will be doing more design tools. I don't have any planned right now for this week, but I will be doing some once semester starts. As a matter of fact, I even have a course now that'll be starting, I think, later February or something, where we go even deeper into it. But I will be doing workshops as well. Yep. Yeah, Jeanette.
I just wanted to ask, one of my questions was how you guys determined 85% as the magic number of what they considered. Because I know that the accreditation rubric does not give a specific percentage, so different schools are interpreting that percentage in different ways. Like I know one school, they are only wanting like 50% of feedback. If like the like number varies. So I was
Yeah,
just curious where BC landed on 85% as meeting the criteria for section B, I
that's a good
guess.
question. So I think essentially what happened is so when when AI or when ACC JC came in to do the review, we were trying to figure out what exactly that they were looking for. And we
Uh-huh.
didn't really get answers on it. So then when BC hired me over the summer to do an independent review of the same 50 courses,
Mm-hmm.
it was just me sitting there looking at stuff and trying to figure out, well, what, and I would ask questions like, what are they looking for here? And I never got any answer. So
Yeah.
knowing that the overarching score for our school had to be that we had this 85% of people being 85% of the courses being essentially like above the initial and emerging levels on that rubric, right?
Uh-huh.
Because like initial, we would still get recommendations, but if we were emerging and above, then that's really where they were looking for that 85% like complete as a whole of that. So then that
Okay.
just sort of dialed down into trying to see like, okay, well, when they're saying assessments, like without it, like what does that mean? And
Yeah.
then when I explained my process, AIQ felt that given the nature of for us to get up to speed within that 18 months, that 85% would be a good standard in which to look at for assessments and seeing if people are actually commenting that much. Now, so my guess is that once we get that 18-month standard down, we may if you know, hopefully we get accreditation and pass in those 18 months and they see that we've made so much progress. My guess is that the standard probably might relax just slightly, but
Yeah.
until that point, yeah, that's where they came up with that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. My other question, really quick, because I know I'm doing a 9:30 multiple choice question writing thing.
Oh, cool.
How, yeah, because they don't teach you in grad school how to write multiple choice questions.
No.
I was wondering in terms of, so I like to use Gemini to generate ideas and,
Mm.
you know, as a tool. But if you have like Gemini or something create suggested responses for why a student got a question incorrect in the
Uh-huh.
quizzes,
Yeah.
would those comments count as feedback on like using quizzes? Like, would that count? Like, if every question, for example, like if I went into Gemini and said, you know, plugged in the question and said, give me comments as to why all of the incorrect answers are incorrect. And then Gemini spits out suggestions, and then you go in and you edit them into your own voice. Would that count as
I would
giving
say yes.
feedback?
Yeah, I
Huh?
would say yes, because even the tool that we're providing you to help generate announcements is using
Yeah.
PlayLab, you know, so it's kind of the same thing. So I would say, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was playing with it a minute ago, and I plugged in like one of my questions from biopsych,
Yeah,
and it gave explicit reasons why three of the four questions were not incorrect with like a full sentence plus of why. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is
yeah.
something
To
I
me,
can use.
I think that's a great use of it. Matter of fact, I may do that myself.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm like, go Gemini. So cool. All right. Well, I'll get out of your hair. Thank you for all the information.
Jeanette, thank you so much for the questions. I loved them. I hope you were able to capture some of them for us in the feedback survey too, because I thought they were really good.
Yeah, I will do that after my 9:30 and 11 meeting. So
All right. Well, good luck at your next session, and I'll see you at the start of the semester.
thanks, Matt. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Did you have another question, Jana? I see you're unmuted.
Oh, no, sorry. I tried to change one of my mastery path quizzes that was my jump off point to a
Oh,
practice
yeah, yeah.
question, and it
Uh-huh.
removes the ability to use it as mastery paths.
Good to know.
It
Okay. Well,
also
thank you for
takes
that.
off the proctorio, so you can't like proctorio a practice quiz either, but
Okay. Well, good to know. Thanks for that. I'm
yeah.
glad answered and solved in one session.
Now it's like back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Okay, cool. Well, it was good to see you or hear you.
yeah, you too. We'll see you soon. I might drop in on your office hours sometime within probably week 3 or so, and
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
if
If
you
you're ever
don't
up on
mind, just
campus,
kind of go through one of my courses with you just to see what you think and if it's going to work. And
I'd be happy to do that anytime. Just
okay.
yeah, just shoot me an email and we can do it. And if you're ever up on campus, feel free to swing by and have a cup of coffee with me or something.
I will. Yeah, I'm never actually. I'll be there. I think tomorrow. I'm leading or working with one of the assessment committee.
Oh, cool.
I'm presenting, I guess, with some of the assessment committee, but
I know I have another one of these sessions from 8:15 to 9:15, but I didn't know today wasn't going to be, I thought today was both in person and online. And I happened to show up on campus and Dan was like, oh, I ran into Dan just
yeah.
happenstance. And he's like, oh, we moved you to Zoom. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'll have to look tomorrow and see if I'm on Zoom. If not, and I'm in my office, feel free to swing by.
Okay, I certainly will. Yeah. When I registered for this, it gave me the option of either or. So
Okay,
you weren't incorrect. It gave me the option to be in person, and I just chose online today. But
cool. Sounds
yeah,
good. And then, thank you so much for always presenting at new faculty. I really appreciate your help. And the faculty always, I think, it's good for them to see what's possible, because
yeah,
I feel like I bring you in because I feel like there's this level of using Canvas and then you bring it in like, and you scale it up significantly. And so I
yeah,
like to see that I like to provide them a scope that they can
Yeah.
see. So in some cases, I think it's way above where they're at with it. But in other cases, I know that there's faculty that, are really excited about, oh, well, how can I use this? And they come up to me afterwards asking like, hey, about Jana, when she's presenting on Mastery Pass, could that be used for this? So I really appreciate your help on that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anytime you need help with any of that, just let me know. And then I had an idea, and I know you guys are like really pressed for time, but I thought maybe towards the end,
Yeah.
just to have like an open, like for the presenters like Sarah and me and whoever and Alex, where they can just come in and kind of get some individualized
Ooh,
help
I
in
like
a
that.
computer lab.
Yeah,
Where if like they bring me an idea, I can maybe help wash some of it out for them or show them how I did something.
that'd
Uh,
be really cool. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Okay. I'll talk
yeah.
with Chrissy about that and maybe we can implement that towards the end of this semester.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a thought because like I had a lot of questions from people. It's like they were really interested in how to actually make it work. And I know you do a lot of courses like that.
Yeah.
But I've had people in my own area come up to me and like, hey, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, well, this is how you could do it with mastery paths, like creating games and things like that.
Yeah.
That maybe it'd be helpful. I don't know if they would like it or not, but
I
just to
think it'd
be
be
able to
great. I
meet
think
with
it'd be
it
really good. Yeah.
with us, and then they can kind of like round robin around the room and
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, we could each have like we could devote little pods to like specific topics and then you guys could be in there working with them.
yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Okay, thanks,
Just a
Jana.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. You do such good work. Thank you so much for everything that you do and all of like I always get so much out of all your workshops and stuff. I'm
I appreciate
using hopefully my Google Notebooks will meet my RSI for my announcements.
Yeah, I'm using
So
quite a few Google Notebook stuff too.
yeah. I've preloaded everything and then I can just go edit with course specific stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so hopefully it'll work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you want to swing into my office hours and look at it or, well, just let me know. I'd be happy to do it.
Okay, yeah, because I'm building shells for all of our faculty to pull my shell and at least have a very basic, like have everything ready to go, and then they just have to individualize for the course that they're teaching.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So,
That's cool.
yeah,
The
it's a
one
lot
thing
of
that
work.
the one thing I'm looking into currently is something called blueprint courses. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
So it's kind of interesting, and I'm not sure. I think it has to be probably done at like the Dan level, but we could create blueprint courses where let's say that like you create a course for your faculty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what you could do is you create one course and then your faculty use that blueprint and they start, they use that course and but then let's say that you're like, oh, I need to update this thing. You take that update in the single mother course that you created. And then once you push, it pushes out to the other courses that are using that blueprint. So then you don't have to go into each one.
That would be nice because I kind of doing that right now with my Canvas shells.
Yeah.
And then all of my faculty have access to my Canvas shells. So I'm kind of making like a big master class. And then when I
Yeah.
need to make changes, I make changes in our shell and then we just grab from that shell every time.
Yeah.
So that way we're grabbing the most updated course. But
Right.
to be able to like make a change in my shell and then push it out to everything that's copied off of it, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So as soon as I have that figured out, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, because I'm kind of doing that right now, and it would just make it a lot. It would remove that step of having to update one course and then go in and update my shell.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I run into quite a bit of that with the little stuff that we create, so it's like, it'd be
Yeah,
really nice just to be able to do that from one place.
one place and then push it out. Because I have adjuncts too, so I create all the content for our adjuncts so they can just come in and teach
Oh
kind of
yeah.
a canned course, but it just makes it easier. And then I know that it's at like our level that we need it to be at. So I don't know. I just try to make it easier for everybody, but
Yeah.
um, that
I,
blueprint thing would be nice.
I agree. Yeah. So I'll let you know as soon as I have that figured out. And I've got to say thank you for the compliments. And I love working with you, Jana. I always get excited when you hop into my sessions and all that.
Yeah, I always, even if it's something I've taken like 5 times, like I still always learn something from it. So, and especially with RSI, we're getting such conflicting information
Yeah.
from all different areas. And like the rubric says 2, but then you take that DE course with what's her name, and then it's 3, and it's like, it's,
Yeah, and that's part of for me because like I think for me the thing that irritates me about that is not from her perspective, that's probably what she was told to tell everybody. But
yeah,
sitting on Senate, I know that we voted to just not take a specific number off and just say multiple. So, and what we're delivering, I'm like, let's say two, because then that still meets the multiple. And I mean, I argued for actually, I think you can get RSI in a single comment or in a single, you
Yeah.
don't have to do multiple each week. You can do one. It just has to be a high quality announcement. But there was pushback on that. So I felt like we negotiated and settled on two, so for
Yeah.
me, it's like, if you meet that, you should be able to meet it. And if I'm in there reviewing a course, I'm going to count that as meeting it. So
Yeah, and it wasn't until assessment committee with Teresa McAllister, she's like, no, if you have the same comment for too many students, then it doesn't count. I was
right.
like, well, the students don't see the comments to each other, so it's still individualized whether it's the same or not.
Right. I mean, I think some of it is just so
So,
much managing how faculty are interacting and what faculty are doing.
yeah,
I mean, and to be honest, like some like you and things, that's not the concern. It's the ones because we literally have departments or people, groups of people on campus that use only publisher content. So literally you go into their Canvas shell, click a button and it takes them off to publisher and then everything's publisher. There's nothing in Canvas. I ran
yeah,
into quite a few of those during that 50 course review. I had no idea. It opened my
yeah,
eyes.
yeah. I think our EMT uses a lot of publisher content on my Brady labs.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I put everything in Canvas for grade transparency and everything for the students. I feel like it's best there, but um yeah, they do that on that side too. And then with especially my cohorts, they're on campus. It's a different class. They come to lab, but I always have time set up with them beforehand, before
Hmm.
lab or after lab, where I can meet with them in person, but that won't count towards like offering up my time for them because it's not in Canvas, it's in person.
Yeah,
When they're
right.
already going to be on campus, I just set up a time to meet with them in person because all my students want to be in person. They just take online classes. But
Yeah.
so it's just trying to like, how do I capture that I'm available during those times and they can be in person, but then I don't know if it's still going to count for the RSI rubric if it's not within Canvas. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's,
sure.
I think that would fall, what is the one? It'd probably help you with C3.
Yeah.
It'd probably help you with that because they could look and find evidence that you actually say like, hey, this is an opportunity for you to meet with me, you
Okay.
know? So
Yeah.
I think it would probably help that. Yeah.
I always put that on my homepage. Like if you want like be here on these times ahead of your lab at this time, I'll be in this room if you want individual help. But I just put that like once in my homepage.
Yeah, it'd probably help you with CA or regular interaction CA criteria
Okay.
A. Yeah.
Okay, because I do announcements and discussions and everything else like that, but it's like I don't know if like one thing can count for multiple criteria.
Yeah, I think that's what I've been trying as I'm trying to wrap my head around all the different facets of this.
Yeah.
I want to create like I guess technically best practices, but I want to create something that's more like this is like Minesweeper. Like if you do these things, it clears out so many aspects of other criteria, right? Like I just want to get to those like core like art
Yeah.
like anchor elements.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at too. It's like, okay, if I do three announcements and then I use Google Notebook, so I had Google Notebook do like an intro video on each chapter. So that's like my first announcement is the Google Notebook video on the chapter that we're going to talk about. And then on the Wednesday, I have the Google Notebook infographics.
Yeah.
So it's still instructive because the DE course said it just has to be instructive.
Yeah.
So it's still providing more content and it's still instructive. And then Fridays I have a study guide that I give them. It's a Google Doc study guide for them that they get on Friday, basically after as a review and a wrap up of the content that we talked about.
Hmm.
But it's all generated kind of through Google Notebook.
Nice.
But
I
I'm
think
like,
that's
it's still instructive. It's still
yeah,
so,
no, I think that should be fine.
okay.
Matter of fact, sitting in here with you, I think I just had an idea. So once I figure out what those anchor elements are,
Yeah.
that will help the RSA process be more like Minesweeper. Maybe what I'll do is I'll create an asynchronous course that if people or a module that we can bring people into, but I'll use Mastery Path so it actually guides them through setting it up.
Yeah. That would work. That'd be good.
And it's like these are like as long as you do these things, you're gonna meet it.
Yeah, and then here because it's I was like, gosh, there's so much. We have like 48 chapters, and it's like it's so much. And then it's like, how can I make this easier and still meet still meet the requirements and still make it instructive without duplicating too much. And so my Google Notebook
Yeah.
gonna help me hopefully, and hopefully it meets because it's still instructive and there's 3 of them a week. So
Yeah, I think it should. I'm using Google Notebook in my stuff too.
okay, yeah. So all right, well, I took up a lot of your time. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, always a joy, Janet. Just let me know
Yeah.
if you want to
Okay.
meet up.
Okay.
Good
Yeah.
to see you.
You too. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Bye.
Bye.